Hi everyone, it's Miss Farquharson here again, back for your second handwriting lesson. Now last week you focused on a new group of letters. I wonder if you can remember which letters we did last week. They were called the around letters, weren't they? So this week we're going to learn about a new group of letters, and these letters are called the down letters. Now you might see from the screen here that there's lots of them that we should be looking at this week, but because there's so many, I thought we'll just split them in half and we'll do half this week and half next week. So this week it's part 1 of the down letters, and then next week we will do part 2. So you can see here that the letters we're going to focus on for our handwriting today are L, T, B, P, K and H. So on the next part of the video, you will see me demonstrating these letters and also trying to write some words using these letters. So I would like you to practice as neat as you can on some paper at home. And you can do that along with me in the video. You might want to pause it as I go so that you can stop when I stop and write the letters, or you can watch the whole video all the way through and then practice them at the end. It's up to you which way you do it, okay? The first letter we're going to have a think about is L. Now we said these were called the down letters, because all of these letters you have to start going down first instead of around like the ones we did last week. So L, when we say the little phrase to go with this one, we say down the long leg, and that helps us remember to go down. So I'm going to try and do mine. Down the long leg. Down the long leg. Trying to make it a nice tall letter because L is a tall one, isn't it? Down the long leg. I quite like the look of this one, I think. Now, seeing that it's down the long leg, I think that's going to be my word. I'm going to try and write leg. So down the long leg, and then I need an E, and then a G was one of our around letters last week, wasn't it? There's the word leg. The next down letter we are going to practice today is T. And for this one, we say down the tower, across the tower, don't we? Down the tower, across the tower. It starts off just like an L, doesn't it? But we have to remember to do across the tower. And again, a T is a tall letter, isn't it? Down the tower, across the tower. So we have to make sure that we start up nice and high so we can fit our across the tower part in as well. Okay, which one do I think is my best one? Oh, that's a tricky choice actually. I think I might choose this one. I quite like that one. Okay, now I'm trying to think of a word that starts with T, and it maybe includes some down letters as well. I'm going to try this word, T-I-N. Tin, that's right. So down the tower, across the tower. Then I need to do an I, but I'm going to make it smaller because it's not quite as tall as a T. And then T-I-N. Tin. So the next down letter we are going to practice today is the letter B. Now this one can be quite a tricky one, can't it, when we're forming it, because there's lots and lots of things when we are learning to write that look similar to a B. We've got B, D, P, Q as well, a number 9. There's so many things that have a similar shape, but they don't all look exactly the same. So that's why it's important to remember our little rhyme when we are trying to do the letter B. And we go down the laces to the heel and round the toe, don't we? So I'm going to try that. And again, it's a down letter, so I start at the top and go down first. Down the laces to the heel and round the toe. Down the laces to the heel and round the toe. And we want to make sure the toe of the boot isn't too giant. Okay, I'll do one just now, which would be a silly one. We don't want it to look like that one. That one's a wee bit too giant, isn't it? I'm going to rub that one out and try again. Okay, we need to make sure we're making the toe of the boot a good size, but not too giant. Down the laces to the heel and round the toe. I like this one. It's got a really nice straight back. So that's my one I'm going to choose. And let's try and write a word that begins with a B. I think I'm going to write a tricky word. Okay, and this is a tricky word that we've maybe not done before, but it does include 3 down letters, and it's the word ball. Now, we can't really sound out the word ball if it's a tricky word, so I'm going to show you how we would write it. We do our B, and then it's an A. It sounds like it should be an O, doesn't it? But it's an A, and that's what makes it a tricky word. And then we've got down the long leg 2 times. Ball. That word says ball. Okay, so that's a tricky word. You've learned a new word when we've been practicing. Good job. Okay, so the next letter we're going to practice is the letter P. And this one can be quite a tricky one, just like the same reason for the last letter, but they have this similar shape, don't they? Because they all seem to have this kind of stick part with a round bit on it. Okay, so it's important we remember how to make this letter. And the little phrase will help us. So we go down the pirate's plait and back up and round his face, don't we? Let me try that. Down the pirate's plait and back up round his face. And can you see that I've managed to make the pirate's face sit on the line? That can be a challenge. So if you can do that, I would be very impressed. And we have to make the pirate's plait go underneath the line, don't we? We don't want it to sit away up here like this. That would be a capital P, like on the start of Poppy's name. But we don't need a capital at the moment while we're practicing our small letters. Okay, so we go down the pirate's plait and back up and round his face. I'm going to do one more. Round his face. And I quite like this one here. And I'm going to write a word using the letter P at the start. And I think I'm going to write the word pill, which has 2 L's in it as well. P-I-L. P. I. And then it's 2 down letters. In fact, an I is a down letter as well, isn't it? That's how we write the word pill. So here is the next one of our down letters, and it's the letter K. A kicking K, isn't it? Now we know, because I taught you this when we started learning these sounds, we know that when we do a kicking K, the picture that's on the screen there forgets to do the curly part, doesn't it? So we know that we use that one to help us a little bit, but we need to remember the curled part for the kangaroo's tail, don't we? So we're going to go down the kangaroo's body, round his curly tail, and give him his kick for his leg. Let's try again. Down his body, back up around his curly tail, and a kick for the leg. That's why we call it a kicking K. Try another one. I don't want my curly tail to be too giant, unlike the last one. It takes a lot of practice, this letter. It's really tricky. I'm finding it tricky using my fancy pen I'm using on the iPad. Down the kangaroo's body, round the curly tail, and a kick for the leg. And I think, it's a tricky one to choose. I'm stuck between number 3 and number 5. I think I'm going to go for number 3 for that one. Okay, and for this word, this time, because we were saying he has to have a kicking leg, I think I'm going to try and write the word kick. K-ick. And it's quite a strange one, this one, because K-I, we have to have our special friend's K sound, which is a curly K and a kicking K together, isn't it? K-I. So the last of our down letters that we're going to learn about today is the letter H. And we say down his head, to his hooves, and over his back, don't we? We need to be careful with this one because quite often we get this one looking a little bit like an instead if we don't make it tall enough. So we have to start at the top and go down first, but we have to start right at the top. Down his head, to the hooves, and over his back. If we only start halfway down, when we try to come back up, we're not going to have enough space to do it, and it's going to end up looking like an And we don't want that, do we? So we need to start right at the top. Down his head, to his hooves, and over his back. And if we make the back of him nice and tall, then it should make it look a little bit more like a H than an Last one, down his head, to his hooves, and over his back. Oh, I quite like that one I did at the end. Looked a bit less wiggly than some of the others. And I think the next word I'm going to write is going to be one beginning with H, and it's going to be the word hill. Because again, this word has got lots of down letters in it. I wonder if any of you have climbed a hill recently. Let's sound it out. H, E, L. So, H, E, L. But this one again, it's got two L's in this word, which also just says L. H, E, L. That's a special friend sound that you sometimes see, except it doesn't need to say L, L. We still just say L when we see two of them together. So everyone, that is the end of your first part 1 down letter handwriting lesson. And today we have practiced the different letters you can see on the screen here. We did L, P, K, H, B, and T. And they're all called down letters because we have to start at the top and go down first. So well done for listening, and I hope you're managing to practice as well. Next week, we will do the second set of the down letters as well. I hope you get on okay practicing your handwriting, and me and Miss Cram look forward to seeing some of your work. Bye for now.